Hello everyone, welcome. I can't believe we are already at the second half of 2025. Time is moving right along and it's time to do my setup for the next 6 months. So I am one of those planners who likes to kind of take inventory in the end of June, early July, see what's working, what isn't, and make improvements. And I'm going to walk you through that process today. I will, as per usual, put links in the description to everything that I talk about in case you would like to get something for yourself or a gift for someone else. And I will also put timestamps in the first pinned comment if you'd like to jump back and forth between the sections, because we'll talk about my traveler's notebook, the inserts that I'm using in it for functional planning and bullet journaling. I'll also show you a little purse notepad jotter thing that I found that's kind of cool, and the journal that I'm using right now. The gorgeous journal that I'm using right now. Okay, so let's start with my traveler's notebook. And this hasn't changed a whole lot, if at all. I do have a couple of different traveler's notebook covers. This is the one that I'm using right now, and it's basically because it's summer. I want the lightest weight thing that I have in my arsenal. And this is a Wanderings traveler's notebook, which you can get on Amazon almost all the time, and then sometimes on Etsy, so I'll put a link to both. But Wanderings are awesome, and they have choices. Like, you can get the ones that are basically just a folded piece of leather, or you can get the ones with pockets. And I prefer the pockets because then I can turn it into a wallet. So you'll see here that the only thing that I don't really like about it is that it doesn't have a true pen loop. But what I do is I pull this little protector over and I just pop my 2 everyday pens in here, and that works perfectly fine. So I open this up and it's got good stitching. This one is several years old. So if it looks a little worn, it's because I've put it through stuff. I mean, I used this like while I was moving last summer and throwing it in different bags and stuffed in things, and it came through like a champ, and it's getting that fun patina, and it definitely needs some leather conditioner. I haven't done that in a couple months, so it's getting a little bit thirsty. So I open it up, and it does have 3 card pockets. Then it has a folio pocket where you can stash, usually I put cash in there. In the back, there's another folio pocket where I usually put little notes and receipts. Okay, so then the way that I turn it into a wallet is you've got those 3 card slots here, which I use for things like credit cards, driver's license, and then this is a wraparound piece. It comes from Midori Traveler's Company, and I'll put a link in the description to where I get mine. I've had this one, I think, 4 years, and it still looks pretty much brand new. They just hold up really, really well. And it has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 card pockets. I use a mix of things in here. I will put things like, your library card, your Barnes & Noble rewards card, insurance cards, things like that. But I also put pictures. I have a lot of family pictures that I keep in here, and just kind of motivational things that I printed out. And that's why I took them out, because they're super duper personal. But usually they are in here nice and chock full. It wraps around your first insert, nice and snug. Okay, so that becomes the wallet. Then, as I've talked about in many other videos, the first part is my list book. This is my brain. So this one has stayed with me. I think I've been using this one for 2 full years. And I just use it until the sections start getting really full. And then I will archive it and get out a new one. This is a square grid traveler's notebook insert. Sometimes Wanderings carries them. Other times I've gotten them from Sovereign Gear. Of course, Midori makes a square grid as well. I just like these because they're pretty economical, and I like the size of the grid. I like how the paper, it really stands up over time, because like I said, I've had this for like 2 years. And I do have a whole video about my list book. So I will put a link to that in the description, and you can watch every little bit of what my lists are. They are typically things like automotive, so I have a whole sheet marking down like when I get an oil change or when the car registration is due. And then I have, the next one is like the beauty shop. Do we still call it the beauty shop? The salon. I'll put, what I got done, how much it cost, if I was happy with it, and then next time. So I have a record. I also have this one called Last Time and it has really important things like last time I had a migraine, so that it's just really easy to track when I've had migraines. Or last time I changed the batteries in my watch. Little things like that, just so that I remember, how long that battery lasted, and then I can leave a good review for it or not. And then I also have my movies and series, and because I've been using this one for 2 years, I'm already over here on spread number 5, but this is what they basically look like. So I have whatever I watched or whatever somebody recommended, whoever the star is, just to jog my memory, what channel or network or streaming service it's on, or if I got it a DVD at the library, and then I'll give it a grade. So if there's nothing next to it, I haven't watched it yet. It was just something that was recommended to me at some point. And then the ones I watch, I give a letter grade, and if I don't finish it, if I just don't like it, I write DNF, did not finish. So nice little record. I have to tell you a story about this. So I got this idea because my grandma's neighbor growing up, she really liked movies, like she probably went to Blockbuster every single day back in the videotape days, and she kept one of these. And it was really funny because she handed me this notebook and she was like, here, I've got some suggestions for you. And I looked down through and it had your normal stuff. It had like The Princess Bride and The African Queen, and it had, Pillow Talk and like good, sweet old movies. And then it had Boogie Nights. I was like, Wilma. And she and my grandma had watched Boogie Nights because I think Burt Reynolds was in it, and they like Burt Reynolds, and they had no idea what they were getting into. I don't remember what grade she gave it. Anyway, I just think it's a fun thing for me because I can remember what I watched, but maybe someday somebody will like to look through and see what I thought about all these. All right, so again, some of the stuff is really serious, like make sure you get your car registration, tags renewed on time, and other things are light and fun, like what TV series did I like best. So that's the list book, and I've added to the list book here in the back, I printed out the most commonly misspelled words, and I made this list. I pulled from different sources, added my own things that I get tripped up on the most often, and I made this into a printable. So you can go to my Patreon and you can either become a patron, yay, thank you so much, or you can just buy this and download it. And it's made to fit inside either like this, a standard size traveler's notebook, or it'll also fit in an A5 because it's the right height. It won't be quite as wide as a normal A5, but it'll fit in an A5 notebook. So 2 sides, lots and lots and lots of words that I personally get tripped up on a lot. Conscientious, judgment, are you in the US or the UK? That makes a difference. Things like, sacrilegious or changeable. Those are the ones that get me. Like, does it have an E in there or not? Jewelry. Why is jewelry so tricky? Partly because it's another US versus UK. Fluorescent. Every time I get stuck on fluorescent. And I've noticed that if I stop what I'm doing, get out my phone, Google the word, inevitably I end up checking social media, checking my email, looking at notifications. So when I'm working in my planner and I'm journaling, I like to have all that stuff turned off. And this way I can just analog, go back to the list, look up judgment or personnel or mischievous. Oh, that's a good word, mischievous. and then I don't have to get distracted by my phone. All right, so go to Patreon for this. There's a link in the description. So that's the list book, and then this would be the back side of the wallet insert, and I usually have some good motivational stuff here. Then I have my last 6 months, my previous 6 months of planning, and that is in a Midori Traveler's Company number 018 insert. That's the weekly, and it looks like this when it hasn't been filled out yet, because this is the next one. And I just posted a video about this like a couple days ago, so I'll put a link to it and you can watch why it's my favorite planner ever, why this is my 10th one that I just started. 10 of the same planner. That's just a real rarity in the planner world. I always decorate it with a pretty sticker to kind of set the tone for that 6-month period, and the last one was Hope. In the front, there's a tracking area. This is starting literally this week, so I haven't filled it out yet. Tracking area where I do health tracking. So this will be July, August, September, October, November, December. Then I do forward planning on the next spread. And then it goes into the weeks, and it gets me through 6 months of planning. And then, like I said, notes and things stuck here in the back. Now, one thing that is different is that in the past, I have had another insert in here, which ends up being a jotter, a place to just take some like research notes when you're out and about. A lot of times if I'm going shopping, maybe I'll write down measurements. So measurements of like furniture, you know, I have this amount of space, what will fit in it? And I'll take it around the store with me and jot notes. Well, this really is happy with 3 plus those cards. You can get another insert in here, but it starts being bulky. It starts kind of coming out over the edge. For me, I like everything to stay within the cover like this. Everybody has their own way of using a traveler's notebook, but for me, the wanderings with the pockets, I really prefer it with just 3 inserts plus my wallet stuff. But I'd really like a jotter. So I have this, and this stays in my purse 24/7. And it suits that need, you know, like if you, like I said, you're going shopping and you have your little grocery list, or you have, like I said, a piece of furniture and you need to measure the exact spot that it's going to go in. You take your little tape measure with you, that kind of thing can go in here. Or doing long division, because honestly, it's just easier than getting my phone out. Sometimes I'll just do some quick long division, quick math. I had been using these. This is from Moleskine. This is a Moleskine Kaye, cute little pocket. You can see it's got that Moleskine wear to it because I've had it in my purse for years. And it functioned absolutely perfectly. It's wonderful. But I started looking for others. Just, you know, this is the last one. I know I'm going to need more. What else is out there? I review notebooks, so I went and tried something new, and I kind of like it. Let me show you the difference here between the old Moleskine. I'll open this up to the pen test page, and the new one, which is called a Twone. So I thought it was 2-1, and that's how I wrote it at first when I did my pen test, and then I realized, no, it's Twone, Twone. They're one of the top selling notebooks on Amazon, and I'll put a link to this specific kind. I think they have different colors, but I just got black because it's simple here. So I wanted to make an apples to apples comparison to the Moleskine. First of all, it's much less expensive, so it's going to save you a little bit of money. And also, are you ready for this? I tested pens, markers, highlighters, watercolors, fountain pens, all the stuff, right? Look at this. This is the Twone, and this is the Moleskine. Look at the difference in how the paper holds up. So with the moleskin, I can use my normal, pigment-based gel pens and markers, no problem. It ghosts, but it doesn't bleed through. But once you start getting to fountain pens, watercolors for sure, look at all this bleed through. And then over here, nope. I can paint in this, which means that maybe when I'm out and about and I find a little something I'd like to sketch, I can then come home and paint it in my jotter, in my tiny little jotter. I am so happy with that. It's about the same color for the pages. I would say the tone is just a little bit more cream color, and the moleskin is a little bit lighter, but it's really not much of a difference. I think the line width is about the same. They both look like 6 millimeter. And then I did the math here. The moleskin has 23 lines or 22 spaces, plus the little top and the margin, which are very narrow. And then the tone has 22 lines or 21 spaces, plus a larger top and bottom margin. It's really 23 spaces. Yeah, so super cool. As far as how it's constructed, how it will last over time, I can't tell you because I just got this one. I will say it doesn't have the same kind of almost like a leather feeling cover like the moleskin has. It's just cardstock. It's nice heavy cardstock though. It is a sewn binding. This is a Kaye, so it didn't have a pocket. It's not like a moleskin classic. So this doesn't have a pocket either, so you're not really out anything. I think the moleskin had a couple pages in the back. Let's see, I don't know, maybe 10-ish pages in the back were perforated. The Twone does not have any perforated pages, which is fine. I don't use that. But anyway, yeah, cheaper and takes watercolor. Pretty amazing. So I'll put a link to this down below. And if you were a fan of the moleskin and you don't want to move away from it, I'll put a link to this too. All right, so that's my jotter. It goes in my purse. It's for all those random little thoughts. And also hangman. It is great for hangman. I always, like when I'm sitting with somebody in a waiting room, I think it's fun to play hangman to take your mind off of whatever's going on. And so I keep it in my purse for that purpose. Okay, finally, the journal. So if this was my brain, and this is my scatterbrained area, this is my heart. My journal is where all the deep stuff goes. And I've been using A5 journals just in succession for years now. I think I'm on like maybe year 9 or 10 of this. It usually takes me approximately 3 months to get through a notebook. And I prefer hardcover. I prefer either blank or ruled. It depends on whether I'm writing a lot in that season of my life or if I'm painting more. If I'm writing more, I like ruled. If I'm painting more, I like blank. But I kind of move back and forth. And I've tried a lot of different brands. I've tried some of the less expensive brands on Amazon, and there are good choices out there. I've tried moleskin, but it drives me insane that it has so much bleed through. So where I've landed as my absolute favorite is the Leuchtturm1917, and I prefer the original. I like the good old-fashioned 251 pages, 80 GSM Leuchtturm. That's this. I've been through, I think, 5 of these in many different colors because they have so many colors to choose from. And they hold up so beautifully. I mean, like I said, I use this like every single day for 3 or 4 months, plus going back and using it for testing and, taking pictures and putting things on Instagram and all that. And look how well it's held up. Other than just a little bit of bowing, because I tend to add stuff, stickers and ephemera and things like that. Other than that, it still looks pretty new. The bookmarks hold tight. The elastic always stays just the right tension. It has a pocket in the back, which I do use, and it held up nicely. So yeah, Leuchtturm1917, can't go wrong. And then they came up with a 411 page version. These are kind of hard to get your hands on. They're not available everywhere. So I'll put a link in the description to where they are right now when I'm posting the video. But keep an eye out. I think they're sort of a special edition kind of thing right now. I don't know if they're going to keep them in their lineup forever or not. But I grabbed one a couple weeks ago and I am so excited. First of all, the color. The color looks like black raspberry chip ice cream from Grater's. If you're a Midwest person, you might know about that. Yeah, gorgeous, gorgeous color. Again, coordinating bookmarks, coordinating elastic, really nice pocket that's deep. Look how deep that pocket is. They give you stickers to add the date. And this one is ruled and 411 pages. And my favorite thing about the 80 GSM Leuchtturm is the sound. I love how when you're finished with a notebook and you flip through it, the pages just turn like a favorite novel you've read 100 times. And it's why I don't get the thicker Leuchtturm that has the 120 GSM paper, because it doesn't do this. It feels more like you're writing on a manila folder. This just feels good in your hand. You have numbered pages. You have an area at the front to put your contact info, and then there's a contents page. I do think that for 411 pages, they should have added another spread of contents, because I'm definitely going to run out of that for sure. Let me show you how I started this. I was watching a video, this was years ago. Austin Butler, who's in Elvis, among other things. Austin Butler was talking about his notebook in one of those GQ videos where they talk about things they carry everywhere they go. And he was talking about how he always has a journal with him, but that first page of the journal is like, oh, what do you do with that first page? You're scared to make that first mark. And I believe he was the one who said he always finds a quote that he likes and puts it on that front page to kind of set the tone for the rest of the book. I've heard other people will take like a pen or a marker and just mess it up. Just make marks all over that first page. So you break it in and it's no longer perfect. And then that lets you let go of trying to be perfect. Anyway, I love this quote from Shakespeare. It's from Henry VI, and it says, "I'll call for pen and ink and write my mind." Write in my mind. Then I have stickers, but they're washi stickers. This one's a traveler's notebook, and this one's a stack of books. I'll call for pen and ink and write my mind. And that's written with a Zebra Sensations brush pen, which I use for all my lettering. And then my writing here is a Uniball Signo RT1. So I just started this a couple weeks ago. I've only used, I don't know, maybe 10 pages so far. But it feels good, it looks good, I really, really like it. If you'd like to see the comparison here, this is the 411 page. This is the original 251 page. And this is finished. So let's pretend that it's brand new. We'll push it together a little more. That's the difference in the thickness. From the top and from the side and from the spine. So you can see it definitely takes up a little more space. It's a little bit heavier for sure. But I really like the idea of not having to change out that journal quite as often. For some reason, I feel like if I have that 411 pages, I'm more likely to go ahead and just start writing. Just write 20 pages at a clip because I'm not so precious with the pages. So I'll let you know how this goes. And if you've already gotten one, let me know. Have you enjoyed your 411 pages. All those extra sheets of paper to fill with your thoughts and your art and your ideas and your venting, all the things. So that's my setup. That's what I'm using in July 2025 and moving forward. I've got my traveler's notebook for my brain. I've got a jotter for the sketchy stuff. And then I've got my journal, this one, from my heart. Thank you so much for being here. If you have questions about any of these things, please put them in the comments section. If I don't know the answer, hopefully somebody else can get to it before me. Please let me know what you're using. That's today's question. What journal are you using right now, and what do you like about it or dislike? Tell us the real deal about the journal you're using right now. Thank you for being here. Happy summer. Bye-bye.